Alright, a quick word of warning about giving too much information. So I'm driving a Kia Forte these days. I got into an accident, and it was the other driver's fault. And I was dealing with the insurance company. And I had a very frustrating phone call one time. I had gotten a call from the adjuster, but I was in the middle of something. I told him if he could call later that day. I had to go to a meeting at 3 o'clock. And just make sure we can end before 3. It's good. He said, oh, that's not a problem. I'll call in half an hour. And so an hour goes by, an hour and a half goes by. He hadn't called. And I called him back, and I left a couple messages. And he calls me at 2:40. And I tell him, well, we got to make it quick because I have a meeting at work. And he started to play hardball with me. And I told him, I have to go, maybe tomorrow sometime. And he angrily shouted at me, asking me, Andrew, you called me all day and now you're going to hang up on me? And so I said to him, I told you I had to go work at 3, and I hung up the phone. And I think the mistake I made was I gave him too much information about my comings and goings, and he probably assumed that by making me rushed, he could get a better deal out of this. And I went to work, and at first I was angry that he would do this, but then I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry that he had to take a job where the goal was to bully and harass people, to think about ways to manipulate the negotiation. I kind of felt sorry for that. And I felt kind of fortunate that my job doesn't entail that, right? Quite the opposite, actually. Now, the other thing I felt very fortunate about was that I was in good health, right? I could go a few days without a car and walk places, right? If I were out of shape, if some other unfortunate circumstance were going on, I probably couldn't have waited 3 days to get the car, right? I probably would have taken whatever he said. And that was good. I also thought about another unfortunate car accident situation 5 years ago. I had gotten into another accident, and that time it was my fault. So I had made a U-turn and got T-boned. I got out and we exchanged a few words, and it looked like the other driver was okay. But later on, when I went to check my driving record, I discovered she had claimed $6,000 worth of medical bills. And at the time, I was angry at her. But after my experience with the car insurance adjuster, I can kind of see why she would do that. She probably had a frustrating situation getting something fair on her car, right? So the adjuster I was talking to was telling me how there's this other car that's like halfway across the state, and it's going for a little bit more, but your car has like 5,000 extra miles on it. And I'm like, excuse me, but this accident is your insured's fault. I need to drive to Ellensburg to pick up a car that just has a few fewer miles on it, and it's going to be a lot more. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? And he was using all sorts of misleading numbers. Some of them were before tax, others were after, and just threw a bunch of just nonsense at me. And so I could kind of see from the other driver's perspective, if she were dealing with that, she doesn't look as negotiation savvy as I do, that she probably went, fuck it, I have back pain, right? And so I learned that if you nickel and dime people, they're going to find their way to get around it, right? And maybe you should watch out for those unethical techniques, right? Anyway, so I have a better car now, and I was able to practice some of these negotiations. I was interviewing at a job this week, and I learned my lesson. When the interviewer said, when are you free? I gave him one time that he could call me, and that's it, right? I don't tell him my ins and outs, because you don't want to give too much information about your life situation, first of all. And number two, you don't know what kind of game. I don't think a job interview is going to play a game like this, but I felt if I told him too much about my schedule, he might know a little bit about my ins and outs, especially about my sexual orientation, right? That's a big sore one for me. What else is going on? Well, I'm gonna really miss my car, because I did so many things in it. I spent the pandemic with it, and I had 6 relationships in it, right? 3 heterosexual, 3 solo sexual relationships during the time of that car. And it really made me appreciate how much trouble I caused other people when I caused car accidents in the past. So it wasn't a total loss. Anyways, be careful with your information. Guard it like it's something valuable, right?